Harrison, you your best friend, Marilyn Rose, former Hollywood, California, where the zeitgeist where Maryland is here, nipples are perky, and the fun frolic mayhem and merriment is, I can't find it. Anyway, we have a swell time. Speaking of swell and swelling and being swollen, there are things that we call on this planet Republicans. They may or may not come from the planet Kolob, like Mitt Romney, but they are around. They are ubiquitous. They are political forces, and they have something to say. One of the great gifts that we have throughout history, whether it's Great Britain or here in America, specifically is that notion of satire. We do it much better. It seems in many other cultures. And some of the ways that we get actual news out is to make a proxy version of a news event in the form of fantasy, whether it's a book, film, even poetry, and show people, demonstrate to them how silly stuff is by simply reenacting what's going on rather than directly saying it. And that's the beauty and brilliance of Saturday Night Live, which for many decades has been able to tell us what's really going on in the world. We can now look at Jon Stewart and Comedy Central. More people get their hard news. More people get their hard news from Comedy Central than all the networks combined. Why? Because he's telling more truth than the other ones who are, America's most trustworthy news are keeping them honest. So I want to welcome in a band of brilliant merrymakers who are also bringing forth this notion of religiosity and fundamentalist Bible thumping and all the rest of it, and have created a very entertaining way of telling the story that will unfortunately resonate with you. And they are the producers and stars of Ron and Laura, Take Back America, Mel England, Janice Markham, and Irene Bedard. Do you pronounce Bedard or better?
Bedard.
You do it. I get 6 points for that. And all three of you in Ron and Laura Take Back America. The graphics are on your screen right now, not your screen, but the screen out there. And it shows Ron and Laura Take Back America. Ron and Laura Take Back America. Take a look at it while you're listening. Pop in and join. You're certainly welcome to. It's a mockumentary. It's probably the best way to describe it. Satire about American politics, religion, Hollywood, health, food, nuts, reality shows, more nuts, areolas, all of it, the whole wrapped into one. And I want to welcome all three of you here. And give us the quick upload about Ron. Give us the quick upload about Laura Take Back America. And Laura Take Back America.
Well, Carrie, it's great to be here, and it's great to be here, and thank you so much for having us. I guess a couple of years ago, we decided to make this little short film that evolved into a feature film, and it was really in response to the healthcare debate. Yeah, that was going on at the time. And so that still continues. Oddly enough. At the time, the CEO of this National Health Food chain. Well, we won't name it right now. But
you mean Whole Foods? You mean Whole Foods?
You're in the news. You're in the news.
Does it sound like Whole Foods? Does it rhyme with Whole Foods? Does it rhyme with Whole Foods?
Well, in our movie, it's called Whole Foods. And the guy. And so the guy who runs Whole Fruits, basically wrote this op-ed in the paper, decrying healthcare reform. So all these liberal people got mad at them, and so they got mad at them, and so it was very funny. So Janice called me up because she wanted to make this video about all these conservatives who were going to this health food store and staging what they called boycott the health food store, but it was very funny to us because basically, like, why would these conservative people that had never been to a health food store go shopping at a health food store?
My original concept was, would be maybe a 3 or 4 minute. I said, hey Mel, would you play my husband? I said, hey Mel, would you play my husband? We'll be from Bakersfield, miles, whatever it is, 120 miles, whatever it is, and buy an $8 rutabaga. Some guy who doesn't want to have have it. Doesn't want to have any health care reform.
And there were some really crazy statements.
You know, eat healthy. You won't need health care, and you know.
Yes, and let me jump in because that's exactly right, and I think people need to get the plot of the play here. You're running a health food store, and you're telling people you won't need health care. You won't need the freedom to be allowed to have the choice to actually have health care. If you shop at my goddamn store and eat my marked up food, you'll be fine. So what he's doing is he's telling you that you need to live in a compressed world with a limited range of motion, shop only at his store, make him a multi-hundred, multi-billionaire if possible, and therefore you'll be healthy for being poor. It's fucking brilliant. I love it. It's the American way.
Exactly. And people who are maybe living in, middle class, lower class, whatever, are supporting basically what you just said, this millionaire's diatribe and his idea of a perfect world for him. So, it was interesting because I was in my own interview show, which is not mockumentary style. We were researching healthcare reform, and so this sort of came up. Mel jumped on it, and that's how our little 3-minute YouTube grew, and the family grew. The son came into play. Mother Grozel came into play, and it was at this point actually that Irene came into the picture. Because we had this idea that, okay, what would the mother's issues be?
Right. And so there was this, so basically it went from being about that particular debate into sort of a larger picture of who are these conservative people and who are the liberal people that are fighting them. And, I think we try to be equal opportunity offenders, but still deal with the political issues of the movie. So it's been an interesting push and pull in terms of trying to deal with the reality of the debate. I think the thing that we found out was that the American family, as portrayed by Ron and Laura, is at war with itself because of all of these political issues. And in a way, somebody's winning because they are, as they say,
voting against their own self-interest,
dividing and conquering. So you have the mother, like Ron and Laura.
I'm just going to jump in I just need to jump in for a second because people are just joining us right now, and I just want to reintroduce who you are. There's some people who might hear this only as audio, and we want to know who the sparky and smart guests are. We're talking right now with Mel England. He starred in a movie called Little Big Top. I happened to be at the premiere about 1.5 years ago here in Los Angeles. Big highlights, and is soon going to be alongside Sally Kirkland, Oscar-nominated Sally Kirkland in Love Anonymous. Janice Markham, you've seen in Jigsaw, as well as off-Broadway hits like The Boy-Chick Affair and Grandma Sylvia's Funeral. Plus, Irene Bedard was the voice and likeness of Disney's Pocahontas. Nominated for Best Actress at the Golden Globes for Lakota Woman, was in Steven Spielberg's Into the West, and Tree of Life with Brad Pitt. And how was that tree? And back. Now, let me just point out something else. You guys started a Kickstarter campaign, which is ending this Saturday, just a few days from now, and you've already raised 10 out of 15 grand that you're looking for to complete this movie that we're talking about right now, called Ron and Laura Take Back America. And the whole idea is that if you actually hit your goal of 15, and you're only 5 away, then the money will actually come to fruition, and you'll actually be able to finish the production. So really, you're just looking at $5 grand, a couple of bucks here from everybody, and you hit your home run. You need that to raise the rest, and again, the project only gets funded if you hit that number. What would be the quick way for somebody to go and support that while they're watching this right now?
They could just go to our website, ronandlauratakebackamerica.com, spelled just like it sounds, and that'll have a Kickstarter link. They can just click on that. They can see the trailer. They can find out more about the movie and make a contribution. People can donate at all levels. If it's $1, if it's $5, $100, they want to be an associate producer, please come on, bring it on. We've been
$5 grand, only $5 grand.
Yeah, but it's really interesting.
That's a fair rate.
Right?
It's also allowed people to, like many of our friends, to sort of help make the movie and to participate. You know, so that's been really wonderful too.
Now, if and I'm sorry, there's a bit of a delay here, so I apologize. I'm not being overtly rude, just covertly rude, because we're stepping on not our fault, but the technology still has to kind of figure itself out, and maybe in a year or so it'll actually be in sync. You'll note, as an homage, I wore this T-shirt, "Healthcare for All," seeing as that is what you guys are. And this is why it is doubly and triply an important feature film, starting as a 5-minute YouTube, ending up as a feature-length film, is because you are actually fighting for the idea. Remember, we are a free people, and we're told that every single day, unless we, you, me, the people, want to actually get together on our own and take care of each other. Then we're socialists, we're communists, and we must be put in prison. And I love the fact that you're dealing with these ideas using satire and actually putting in people's faces the ridiculosities that are put forth that go against people's own personal best interests as being the higher road that people like Mitt Romney, who comes from the planet Kolob, are trying to present as the better way of life. Not that I don't think the planet Kolob is where I would like to live someday, but unfortunately I was born Episcopalian and not Mormon. So my people, I'm told, simply don't understand the truth. And you guys get into the truth in your movie, Ron and Laura Take Back America. You talk about these wonderful religious moments that the rest of us neophytes and Luddites, knuckle-walking Hispidolites can't seem to wrap our minds around.
Yeah, what do you think, Irene?
And that would be your cue.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead,
That's
Irene.
Irene's cue.
To take on the, hypocrisy of, hyper religiosity.
Well, I think that, my character is Muslim, and the fact of the matter is that no matter what religion she is, they don't see beyond this what her outer garb is and what she's wearing, and I think that that we do that a lot to ourselves and to each other, and just look at somebody and label them why they are. And I think this film takes a look at just how ridiculous I think not just Ron and Laura might be, or it's as you said, an equal opportunity satire. It's a satire, so it's satirizing everyone. It's everyone through that eye, and it's fun.
It's fun.
So we're going to do something fun for you guys. We're going to take some video calls in just a minute because people do want to talk to you. You want to talk to them. And you are based here in LA. You are Hollywood. And this is exciting for people all over the world to remember that not everybody in Hollywood is just a money-grubbing, slutty blowjob Kardashian like me. That some people are like you and are evolved and higher thinkers. And so to be able to bond with you guys who are actually trying to be the solution and not perpetuate the problem, this is really exciting. And this is happening right in America's second largest market, Los Angeles. You're putting out for everyone to see the truth, the satire, having fun, a few yucks, and pissing off the Republican that owns Whole Fruits, as you put it. While we get queued up to do that, if you'd like to pop on, you need to click the camera down in the center. You're going to see a little camera icon on your screen on the very bottom bar. It'll say on air. It'll say, right now it says 14 minutes, 57 seconds. Then you'll see an audio icon and then a movie camera icon in the middle of the screen. Click that and you'll pop on with us and you'll be able to say hi to these three actors. I'm going to remind you who they are if you're just joining us. Mel England has starred in Little Big Top, Highlights, and is soon going to be alongside Oscar nominee Sally Kirkland in Love Anonymous. Irene Bedard, the voice and likeness of Disney's Pocahontas. Woohoo! Nominated for, and that was a sexy cartoon, I must say. Nominated for Best Actress at the Golden Globes for Lakota Woman, and was in Steven Spielberg's Into the West and Tree of Life with Brad Pitt. Janice Markham, who we all know from Jigsaw, as well as off-Broadway hits, The Boy Chick Affair and Grandma Sylvia's Funeral. Together, all three have put together, originally it was a 5-minute YouTube, turned into a feature-length film called Ron and Laura Take Back America. We can kind of imagine who they are in many ways. I'm going to give you the quick synopsis here so that you can sort of get a 1-minute upload of what it's about. They're a conservative suburban couple from Bakersfield, California, and they decide to star in their own reality show about their activism. After seeing a 24-hour cable news coverage of a national health food controversy, Ron and Laura join the movement to take their country back from the Euro Union conspiracy. Boy, Jesse Ventura is sitting there rattling his cage right now. But when they run into their son Brian with a mysterious new friend at a demonstration, wink, wink, slurp, slurp, I threw that in myself, the culture wars land right in their own backyard. Ron and Laura determined to save their son and their country at the same time, all the while running into the real suburban housewives of Bakersfield. Holy shit. That's all I can say. The real suburban housewives of Bakersfield, health food nuts, and pyramid scheme yoga teachers. In the final showdown, Ron and Laura go off the deep end and take their activism to the next level, all the way to the most important man in America himself, America's #1 top reality star designer, Bob Zaki. And so you guys, it's a beautiful moment. Yes. Now we're talking Jim J. Bullock.
That's right.
Yes, a big gay icon and a big gay, known for Too Close for Comfort. Huge. I think I ran into him in a local homosexual tavern here in West Hollywood about a year ago, and it was unmistakable. He is one of the first openly gay HIV-positive actors ever, also known for his stint in the Center Square and Hollywood Squares, currently touring the role of Edna in Hairspray. So you guys have really so many wonderfully well-known brands, and I always think it's a great act of courage when an actor who does have skin in the game and something potentially to lose through blowback shows up on behalf of the other humans and takes that kind of good citizenship risk. And for that, it's so much easier to back you, I think.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that Jim really thought twice about doing it. I mean, he was so gung-ho from the very first day. But it's really interesting. I mean, I didn't even know until we met him and we're talking to him that Jim actually was like this openly HIV positive actor. He's really been on the forefront of so many, he was sort of like, out before Ellen was out before Rosie was out. That was a really big deal, I'm sure you remember, Carrie, back in the day, with all the things that were going on in the middle of the late 80s and stuff. So I think, so many of us have been in these positions of being pioneers of different issues. Irene's been a pioneer as a Native American actress, an activist. So it's an honor, I think, for Janice and I to be working with people like Jim, like Irene on this project. It's been really remarkable.
Well, I would love to invite folks to video chat with all of us. Again, this is a brand new platform, and we're still in a beta sense here, but we're able to do a lot of cool stuff with it. So if you'd like to just check in and have your face seen and connect with these cool, wonderful people, just click the video camera button. Looks like a movie camera in the lower center of your screen, and you will magically pop on. And if we're really lucky, there'll be audio, unless you really just want to do it the other way. It's all good. We vote yes. We're talking right now with 3 wonderful actors with good hearts. They're smart and they're funny. That helps when you're doing a comedy. We're talking to Mel England, Janice Markham, and Irene Bedard. Ron and Laura TakeBackAmerica.com is the website. Ron and Laura TakeBackAmerica.com. And at this point in our political discourse, when we've got a guy running for president on one side of the aisle, another guy running for president on the same side of the aisle, just with a different funny hat, it does look kind of grim because there isn't much education out there. What's the end game? What is the end game of where they go, where corporations go when they're people too and have all this kind of power? And so it takes fun, entertaining satire to actually physically demonstrate what stuff really looks like and how we might be able to interpret and think about it. And that's why we're grateful to Mel and Janice and Irene for putting together Ron and Laura Take Back America. What about feedback from the religious right for you guys? What are they saying? Are they abundantly thrilled, or are they somewhat underwhelmed?
Well, I don't know. We really haven't sort of tested those waters yet. It is going to be really interesting to see the reaction. One of the things that's been most interesting to me as a political activist, I have my interview show. I've been working on Press for Democracy, which is on Free Speech TV, my little plug. But what's been really interesting, it has actually been the reaction from some of my colleagues, some of the political activists that I work with, saying, well, why would you have, quote, protagonists who are akin to, Tea Party activists who are trying to battle their agenda? How can you actually have lead characters that you can even be, sensitive about when they're Bible thumping and doing all this crazy stuff? And not to skirt over your question, because that's really interesting. I'm gonna go there, but we're so focused on what the religious right, what kind of nasty letters we might get from them. We actually weren't prepared for some of the concerns, right?
I mean,
we had from our own people,
It is interesting because I think, Janice and I ultimately, of course, had to approach Ron and Laura like they're human beings, because they are, and to find the heart and the weaknesses and to really kind of understand, when you're an actor, you're playing somebody, you can't play them as a villain or as a I mean, we really try to find these people's human side. And so it's interesting because I think the film ultimately is trying to show how much we all really want to be in community, and how this broken dialogue that we all take on as if it's ours. It's like they program you with, say, from the Democratic Party or from the Republican Party, and so often that's not actually what our hearts want to say. And so whether it's from the left or from the right, it's just interesting. I mean, the basic issues of being a human being, regardless of whether you speak, English or Swahili, it's all the same. And I think so. We really try to show these people as human beings.
I mean, will we piss off some evangelicals? Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, we couldn't really help, some of the, hypocrisy that we wanted to show. We had to get it in there as we see it. But by the same token, I think that we did a pretty darn good job sort of treading that water of parody and poking fun, but also, not losing humanity.
In the story. But I mean, one of the things too about it is that we discuss this, about how, well, we're wondering if is it too over the top.
Hey, let me just ask an Broadway, which is where some of you guys are from, really belted out like Ethel Merman. Remember what Cole Porter said? She may not be a good singer, but you can hear her in the back of the theater.
Well, basically what I was saying was
yes,
that we had we had those moments where we thought that maybe it was a little over the top, or that nobody was going to believe that this might be something that would fit within the realm of reality, and then something completely ridiculous would happen.
Then Rick Santorum came up into the picture, and we're like, oh, we have to up our game. I mean, for instance, we have a Tea Party style candidate. And when we were first working on our outline, what are some of the things, that we're going to have this Tea Party type candidate say? we were thinking, okay, this is really crazy. She's calling out the Jews and the Muslims and the
she attacks the Jew-run media, and she says bad things about homosexuals are going to burn in hell, and she talks about the homo-Muslim agenda, and all these things that at the time we thought this is way over the top, and we just thought it was like exaggeration, like Saturday Night Live stuff. And then like literally it was weeks later that Sharon Angle and these people were actually saying this stuff in reality. And so I think to sort of speak to a larger point that you made, Carrie, we're trying to use story just to, as Shakespeare said, show a mirror, up to nature. It's very simple. It's like sometimes as artists we have the ability to use stories to simply show things for what they actually are. And it's not really like, if that pisses somebody off, it's like, well, then change who you are, because we're just showing things as they are. It's not like it's so bizarre. It's not like we're making this stuff up. I mean, it's weird.
It was weird, Carrie. I mean, seriously, Mel would be calling me going, oh my gosh, we have to make our script crazier because look what Rick Santorum just said. And reality is getting crazier than our satire.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not like you guys are doing Salvador Dali or Dada. You're actually reflecting mainstream political thinking. That's the part that's so really profound and amazing. Like what did you say? The Muslim homo agenda. I'm trying to understand that, frankly, right? Islamo homo. I mean, come on, right? It's such make believe, but they know that Mildred in Ohio, in her lazy boy with the massaging nubbins on the bottom of her swollen feet, she doesn't know it's not true, and they're banking on that. And that's how they get ahead, and you guys simply illustrate how ridiculous that is.
Yeah, someone just made a comment that is so funny because Mel and I just recently talked about this. It's like SNL just using Sarah Palin's actual words. And when we would read copy of Sharon Angle and some of this other material, what was her name?
Christine O'Donnell.
Christine O'Donnell.
I miss her.
That's actually kind of who.
Right.
Well, watch our lovely Tracy Olson, who is sort of loosely based on her. Well, maybe not so loosely based on her, but we could have actually taken some of the text of some of these people verbatim and used it and have it come off as parody.
The sad thing is, I think for me personally, is having been from the South and grown up gay in the South and to see the political rhetoric.
You're gay?
Yeah, I'm gay. Sorry, Janice.
Oh my God!
I know, she's been in love
so
with
much
me.
For your dating.
Oh my
God. Hello.
What was that?
I don't know. We got a thundering voice.
Yeah. Anyway, so but it's been like growing up gay in the South, and there's this thing where like I'm finally realizing like all of this not only political rhetoric that's used against gay people, but the religious rhetoric that I've listened to all my life, and it's at a certain point it's like, you know what, enough is enough. Like, my life is not a battleground anymore. I know, Irene, that's probably language you can identify with being Native American activist. I mean, the idea that your life, your body is turned into a battleground.
Well, let me throw this in just to recapture who we're talking to for people just joining us. We're talking to Mel England, starred in Little Big Top, highlights, soon alongside Oscar nominee Sally Kirkland in Love Anonymous, Janice Markham from Jigsaw, you know her from there, as well as the off-Broadway hits The Boy Chick Affair, Grandma Sylvia's Funeral, Irene Bedard, the voice and likeness of Disney's Pocahontas, nominated for Best Actress at the Golden Globes for Lakota Woman in Steven Spielberg's as well, Into the West, Tree of Life with Brad Pitt, and both of you, Mel and Irene, I believe, are both Native Americans. Am I right on that?
I am. Irene is identified more. I mean, we've all known Irene, but I'm Navajo on my mother's side, and years ago I did a show with you talking about that. But I am Navajo on my mom's side. Everybody thinks of me as the white guy, so I just whatever.
And I'm a Russian Jew.
Janice is our Russian Jew.
Well, look, but we're tweaking the video side of this. We've got people queued up to try to jump in, but we're not able to see their video right now. We heard a burst of a voice a second ago, hoping that gets tangled out, and it's looking like it could potentially solve itself. In the meantime, what is the lesson you've learned? Often, as Nietzsche said, when we chase the dragon, sooner or later we become it. That's if you have no off switch on this stuff. But as an artist, you have to actually become the thing to be able to really mimic it, imitate it, understand it, describe it well. What have you learned about why politicians, why, say, the owner of Whole Fruits or Whole Foods, as it might really be, why are these guys doing what they do? Surely they can't believe the made-up nonsense because it's quite clearly made up. What are they hoping to get out of Earth by doing all this crap?
I would say probably primarily money and power.
Yeah, power and control. Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason that we have the laws, the way that we do. There are no minimum wage workers in Congress, for example. There are no poor people running huge multi-conglomerate businesses. Therefore, the people that run the show, big business, our government, it's really not representational. And when you have, the media representing, the lies that are going out, I mean, you're sure, single payer. How many people during the healthcare debate, going to pick, okay, knew what single payer healthcare was? I didn't until I started doing research for, a show and interviewing people from League of Women Voters and all these people that I deal with now. But the message didn't go out. It didn't go out. Big business cut it short due to, as Irene said, greed, power, and money. That's my answer,
and
Carrie.
Would you say, let's take a look at Newt Gingrich for just 1 second, who dropped out today, okay? And he is a perfect example. I know. Perfect example of the kind of guy that we see throughout your now feature-length film, which you took from a 5-minute YouTube video called Ron and Laura Take Back America, ronandlauratakebackамerica.com, one word, Ron and Laura Take Back America. Newt Gingrich, here's a guy who has 3 wives, is all about, he's suddenly Catholic now, right? I mean, he's tried all the other religions, got bounced out. He's a slob and a gutter snipe and against women, against this and that. And I was talking to a very smart psychotherapist because I love to get their take on what motivation is too. And she said, look at him. You think the girls ever liked him? You think he was ever hot? He was never the jock. He was a flesh-putting asshole. And so he's going to get back at everyone else. He's going to punish everybody by making their life so small that his life is big in comparison. And so there's the inverse of power too. There's the disempowering of the other so that you can have more power. You may not really have real power, but if other people have less power than you, by default, you end up getting more power. It's profoundly sinister.
Well, to dovetail on that, Carrie, I think that there's another element of it, which is that and this is something that I think discovered in a way from playing Ron, which is that I really think that people believe that that in their hearts, like, this would be the best thing for everybody if they just did it there, so that the hearts aren't necessarily always in the bad. Like, it's not like everybody's like a Disney villain. It's sometimes that they really believe that this would be the best thing if everybody just did this. And so there's this kind of like misappropriated benevolence that gets turned into like this twisted, political, rhetoric.
Homophobia could be anything. I mean,
yeah, it's Ron and Laura actually are like want their son to be happy.
Yeah.
And so when they find out that he's gay, they try to get him to go to an ex-gay group because they're really convinced that that this would be the best thing for him because they love him, and that love is genuine. It's just that
it's motivated by fear.
It's motivated by
that, and that's
they're afraid.
That's what I think Mel and I, and even our conversation, right, with Irene, in her character plays what is it, character, the person who runs.
She runs a retirement.
The director. Thank you. Of the retirement home that we're trying to get. Well, my character Laura is trying to get Mel's crazy, dementia, foggy, crazy mother into this home, and there's issues with their insurance not covering it, and all of this crazy stuff. And we see, Ron's reaction to
a Muslim,
basically that, and everything they come in contact with, whether it's gay people, liberal media, whatever it is, that undocumented workers, are illegal aliens.
It's fear-based.
It is fear-based. Fear. It's all fear.
And that's interesting. It reminded me a lot of, back in the day, I guess, we all have to be old, caught to being old enough to remember this, but there was a period where, oh gosh, who was the guy that played Patton? I can't remember.
George C. Scott.
George C. Scott. And so he played this. There was another movie he did where his daughter gets raped, and it's like this whole movie about, I think she was raped by a black man or something. It's just this whole movie about this like aging white guy, sort of dinosaur, who's afraid of this his worst nightmare is that his daughter could get raped by a black man, and it's just. There's this whole, mindset, and I think I was really surprised when we first started working on this that I thought that we retired a lot of this stuff like 20 or 30 years ago with All in the Family, and it's like this is like All in the Family too, Ron, and in fact that's kind of how we kept thinking about it. It's like we were doing All in the Family because it's just basically this afraid little, very middle class, very unremarkable kind of couple that are trying to deal with these macro issues by applying these talking points that they get off of Fox News.
Right, but what's really interesting about it all, we can talk about certain individuals that will always vote for a Republican as long as that person is anti gay marriage, that's their big issue. But the interesting thing is, I remember an interview with Dick Cheney, and this always stayed in.
Sorry.
And we
was this before or after his new heart?
This was way before, and as much as talking about fear, I am very scared of Dick Cheney. However, the interesting thing was he was talking about gay marriage with this interviewer and saying that he supported the president. He's not, he can't be pro-gay marriage. Okay, but in supporting the president, he couldn't say that he was anti-gay marriage. Basically, he was in his awkward way, in his not being able to say it way, saying that he has a gay daughter.
Yeah.
He cannot.
So you know what? It's not that he's got a moment, a glimmer of nobility. He's a whore. The only reason he didn't go out and say it after slaughtering 1,400,000 people in Iraq and Afghanistan without even an eye blink, without all the no-bid contracts from Halliburton, including whether it was Hurricane Katrina, Iraq, Afghanistan, or even just recently in the cleanup of Irene that ran up the East Coast. This bastard, of course, his daughter is going to kick his ass. And you'll remember famously on the front page of the New York Times when she had the baby, Dick Cheney held the baby in the New York Times. She was not in the picture anywhere. It's Gramps holding the grandchild. And that was the ultimate and quintessence of assholery. Now, that said, what happens when you guys...
You're right.
When you guys hit your $15,000 goal, and I want to be sensitive to the fact that there's a call to action here. You guys have made this wonderful satire, this mockumentary, starting from a 5-minute YouTube video into a feature-length film. You've got something cooking on Kickstarter campaign, which if we go to your website, which is ronandlauratakebackAmerica.com, ronandlauratakebackAmerica.com, you do have a donate button. And you've already raised 10 out of the 15. You've got half a week to go. What happens when you hit the magic 15 number? What's the next thing?
Well, this money actually that we're raising right now is for just to finish post. So we basically finished shooting the film, and for people who don't know what post means, or basically it's
Cereal
like
company.
The last of the. Yeah, exactly. No, it's just to finish editing and sound and color, like basic technical stuff, and so that we can get it submitted to some festivals. We've got literally a couple of weeks to get it into this one to our first festival. So this campaign is actually really critical for us to make it, because we want to get this film and the subject matter out for election season. We think it's really important that it be out there. You know, again, it's sort of like it's an opportunity for us to have a dialogue about these issues in a different way than what's just being like, you know, run on the, you know, point counterpoint, you know, mainstream media machine.
To combat the next set of Dick Cheneys to potentially.
Oh, by the way, I just had my own personal comment about Dick Cheney. I sort of have my own private Dick Cheney confession, but actually,
he's in love with Dick Cheney.
I actually think Dick Cheney, if you take the glasses off, he's kind of hot. And so I just want to personally say.
You know why you said that?
No. I just want to say this to Dick Cheney.
Wait, this is important. Wait, Carrie, I have to tell you something. Listen, this is actually really important distinction.
No, okay, I will. No, seriously.
If you look at Ron, wait, can I just call him? If you look at Ron in the movie, watch the trailer, because Mel did sort of base. Can I say this?
Yeah.
Mel did sort of base his character on kind of a young Dick Cheney, and it's
hot. It's really hot.
It is not hot. It is not hot. It is something else. But when we have friends on the set, I mean, people who know Mel and have known him for years, Victoria, who plays the moderator at the Gay and Lesbian Sensitive Support Group, she was scared. She did not want to really be around Mel. I think it was a little bit of the young Dick Cheney.
She was scared because she was turned on by the hotness.
That was not true.
No. Well, let me reset as we come to the close of this, and I just want to reintroduce who you guys are, because it's only fair for the other kids. We're talking to Mel England, starred in Little Big Top, a movie that premiered here in Los Angeles about a little over a year ago. Highlights, another film, soon alongside Oscar nominee Sally Kirkland in Love Anonymous. Also Janice Markham, who's sitting in the middle. You've seen her in Jigsaw, as well as off-Broadway hits, The Boy Chick Affair and Grandma Sylvia's Funeral. Next to her, Irene Bedard, the voice and likeness of Disney's Pocahontas, nominated for Best Actress at the Golden Globes for Lakota Woman, was in Steven Spielberg's Into the West and in Tree of Life with Brad Pitt. And I also want to throw out, there's a couple of other wonderful cameos in here. This is why donating and supporting this project is actually going to get it through, get it into the film festivals, and get the message out, which we invite you to comment on through your video calls here on our Harrison's Hangout via Spreecast, and help chime in and offer some more fun and mirth. It also has co-star Jim J. Bullock, a big icon. We all remember him from Too Close to Comfort, that is if we are over the age of 70. One of the first openly gay and HIV-positive actors ever, also known for his stint in the Center Square on Hollywood Squares. I think he was above or Bruce Vilanch adjacent. Do I remember that right?
No, actually.
Probably.
Well, no, Bruce Vilanch, who oddly enough, we were also like, it was so weird. Bruce and Jim J. Bullock, we were both considering both of them for the same role, but it was so funny because I know Bruce Vilanch was on your show not so long ago. And but yeah. I think that Bruce was in the Center Square for some seasons, and then Jim J. Bullock was there for another. So I think they were sort of the Paul Lynde, like, fill in the blank gay in the Center Square spot.
Plus, you also have a cameo in the film by daytime Emmy Award-winning actress Judy Evans, Days of Our Lives, right? I mean, who doesn't know that? Or Gays of Our Lives, right?
She loves the gays. We love her. We love
Yeah,
you,
she actually, if we were to show all the outtakes, I just want to say, if we were to show all the outtakes from that scene that we did with Jim J. Bullock and Judy Evans, we'd be talking like X-rated. No. I mean, it was pretty. She was so much fun, but they were just they went over the top. They were great.
Let me throw out a quick techie thing. For those of you watching who would like to join in, we invite you to do so. If you haven't used this service before, and by the way, this is an adjunct broadcast to our regular Pacifica radio broadcasts on KPFK 90.7 in Los Angeles, 98.7 FM in Santa Barbara, 93.7 in San Diego, 99.5 in Central California, and the Progressive Radio Network. Well, I will be on live tomorrow from 2 to 3 Pacific. That's 5 to 6 Eastern. And you can go to progressive or prn.fm or progressiveradionetwork.com or goharrison.com, and you'll hear the show there as well. You can go to the bottom of your screen there, and you'll see a little icon to the right of the on-air button, and it's a little movie camera icon. If you click on that, we'll be able to bring you in to the conversation. So we hope that's as easy as my description. It's really not, but it's possible because we're all here, and somehow we the fuck did it, right? Don't swear on the radio.
I want one of those.
So I got this at Bed Bath & Beyond for $4.95. You need one. They come in purple, too.
That's going to be our first stop tomorrow. All right. Can I make an unfunny plug really quickly, Carrie? Is that okay?
Sure. Of course.
Your shirt reminded me, for those local in Pasadena on May 12th, there's going to be an all-day conference about healthcare reform. And if you go to the League of Women Voters site, or if you want to contact us, I can give you more information. If you want to know more about the Affordable Care Act, that's Obamacare, or how to get more involved in getting the single-payer health care moving in California and nationally. There we go. Thank you.
Well, let me ask you a quickie question, because this, again, helps explain to people. If all they've been told over and over again ad nauseum is that Obamacare is poisonous, the worst thing in the world, it's tantamount to communist from a Negro Muslim, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, yeah, it frightens people. Why would somebody want what the Republicans call Obamacare? What's the upside? Nobody gets to hear that part. And here you're suggesting that there may be something good about it. What is the good thing?
What is the good thing about a single-payer health care plan?
Oh, no, Obamacare is not.
Yeah, what does that mean? Remember Mildred in her Lazy Boy.
Right.
Going socialist, homosexual, Muslim, Indian, Lakota.
Well, this was actually the frustrating thing for those of us who were fighting for a Medicare for all type of plan, a single-payer health care plan. The biggest problem with Obamacare, even though it did make certain strides, is it basically kept the insurance companies still in power. What we wanted, what we've been trying to fight for, those of us for a single-payer plan, is to basically have what single payer means is there is a single payer, which is the government. You choose who your doctor is, you have total control over that. The billing goes through the federal government, which means approximately a 3% overhead as opposed to the 30 to 40% overhead that we have the insurance companies charge.
Because you have to, you have to pay for profit. I mean, you have to, like, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for...
And advertising.
Yeah, and advertising and profit. So, and that's the same thing that's going on actually in all levels of our government. $1.6 trillion last year for the war machine. Although they call it, they say, interestingly, Carrie, that it was only 500 or 600 billion for the Department of quote unquote defense. But actually, then if you add on the Department of Veteran Affairs, which you wouldn't need veterans if you didn't have war. I'm not against that. I think we should definitely pay the veterans and support the veterans. I'm just saying, like, you wouldn't need the veterans if we didn't have war. Then if you include the Department of Homeland Security, which we didn't need until after the war started because of 9/11, so then you have that. Then you have to pay for the interest on all of the last year's war. So it comes to $1.6 trillion. And guess what? A lot of that is going to private companies in the Pentagon. It's not actually even the government. It's like private companies. So when you have private companies, what is happening? Profit. So we actually pay all this tax money to pay for people's profit.
You know what I ask people, Carrie? This is interesting. I had a very interesting conversation with a relative who is very Republican, very right wing, and I asked him a simple question: does it make sense to have a healthcare program whose success is based on not providing care to people? It's a very simple concept. For these insurance companies to be successful, American dream, they are to not provide care. And that means that people in this country, if we have a profit-driven healthcare system, will not get the care that they need.
I actually was, for one summer, when I was in college, I went back home to Texas, and I had a job as an insurance claims processor for a big healthcare company, insurance company. And your job was to just basically process the claims as fast as possible. And if anything, the computer spat it out with the diagnosis code, with the procedure code, with anything, maybe the doctor had some shady past, whatever, anything, it would spit it out. And before you thought, well, maybe I made a typo, you just went on to the next one. So your whole job was just to get through as many as possible. Then that would force the people to resubmit the claim. And then they'd have to resubmit it, and then you could reject it again. Then it would have to go to the doctor or the nurse or whatever. It was the most inhumane thing I ever had to do in my life. And I actually quit the day that I got, because this lady's claim had been submitted and submitted and resubmitted and rejected. And then there she was with a picture of herself because she was having some kind of breast cancer. And it was and I saw this picture, and that was the day I walked out, because it was so upsetting that basically people are having to subject themselves to this just to get treated like human beings.
And we're not even going to talk about medical debt, which is unknown in other developed nations, which is, just something that, we're just kind of used to here, that, of course people lose their home.
Well, and there it is right there. Like you said earlier, they tell you that it's about freedom. So it's the freedom to be in medical debt. That's actually what it is. You're free to get into debt. And that's when you know the Orwellian fix is on. It's when freedom means being enslaved, when war is peace, when, and that's okay. Anyway.
And getting back to Ron and Laura, if we can go full circle here, one of the things that was really important to all of us was to show how these two people who basically end up losing their health care, they because of lack of hours, Ron's job, they don't even have a primary care physician, but they're going to fight Obamacare, which makes some little strides. It's incremental. It's not an overhaul of the system that I believe it needs. But even the little strides, okay, a kid can stay on their parents' health care till they're 26, those tough years in college and trying to get a job. Some of those, or, pre-existing conditions. You're going to get dogs. Yeah, but we have a dog.
Let me dog barking.
One of the ways that I like to look at the way the system is set up here, just to make it really easy to understand. I was just in Vegas last week, and in the hotel I stayed in.
What happens in Vegas, Dave?
Yes, and I saw 40 sets of bare breasts. That would mean 80 individual teats encircled by an areola. It was a miracle, I have to tell you that. But in order in the hotel to get to registration, to get to the lobby, you must go through the casino. In order to take a whiz, you must go through the casino. In order to get to your room, through the casino. Oh, you want to eat something, you go through the casino. You want to do this, you go through the casino. It's the same thing with the medical system in the United States. If you want to get to your doctor here, You have to go through the casino, which is health insurance that has nothing the fuck to do with medicine. But you have to go through the casino because the Vegas thinking is at some point you're going to get tired because you have a bad hip. You're going to plop down into one-armed banker and throw your last money in it, pull the thing and hope for something better. And it's the same crap. Everything is a casino, whether it's credit default swaps, no matter what it is. We are all forced to live in a theme park. We have to walk through the casino to get from A to B. And I'll tell you, I'm mad as hell, and my hemorrhoid is flaring up.
I hope you have insurance.
Right. I'm sorry, it's pre-existing. Pain in the ass.
Yeah, no.
Well, I want to thank you.
Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say I want to thank you guys for having come on, and let's do our call to action again for your Kickstarter campaign, which is ending this Saturday at 8 o'clock. You've raised 10 grand out of 15. It's huge, which means that a lot of people really get and have been amused and enchanted and delighted and thrilled and laughing their asses off at your satire, this original 5-minute YouTube video now turning into a feature-length film. So that means 80% of people love this thing. They've thrown money in it. All you're trying to raise total is 15 grand. So you can finish production. The thing has been shot, but you have to edit a movie, just like you have to edit a book before you publish it, or edit a recipe before it's finalized and you actually cook the thing. Same kind of idea. And all you need is another 5 grand. People can go to your website, Ron and Laura, TakeBackAmerica.com. Ron and Laura, TakeBackAmerica.com. There is a donate here button, and can throw in the last couple of bucks. And once you hit that goal, you're actually going to get the money to finish this film. There are film festivals. We had a lady on yesterday, and I forget the name of the film festival. It's in Santa Monica. It's the 3rd annual. It's a nice big deal. There's the Artemis Film Festival. There's a bunch of others. We'd be really happy to get you in front of those people's eyes and move you along. And I know what you're asking for is simple $1, $5, $10, $100, $1,000, $500,000, several $1 million donations, or 8 cents. It's all good, and it all helps motivate this thing. And they can, again, go to your website, Ron and Laura at TakeBackAmerica.com. And to wrap this thing up,
it's ringing.
What's
it might
the
be someone
ultimate?
someone's gonna pledge some money right now. Wait, let me just.
Janice has to go answer the phone. But thank you so much, Carrie.
Thank you.
It's been so great to be here with you. And I do want to say one thing real fast, which is that if anybody, because I know we saw that a lot of people were trying to get through while we were on, and if anybody wants to talk to us, they can contact us through the website at or email us at info@ronandlaura.takebackamerica.com. And
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. And if you're on Facebook,
friend us.
Friend us on Facebook.
Let me jumping back quickly to healthcare, because I'm wearing my homage T-shirt for you guys. I'm trying to put together a plan with Kaiser and some others, a 99% plan for the 99%. $99, you get a doctor, you get medicine, you get all that shit for $99. The key is arm wrestling to the ground to find out what their threshold of how much access you're going to get. But so far, we've got a really motivating idea. And it occurred to me, Mel, you're Navajo, and Irene, you're...
Inupiaq and
what kind?
Inupiaq and Cree.
Inupiaq and Cree, which means maybe the thing to do is to do it through you guys, so that there's a disconnect with the white man forked tongue gringo crap, and you guys can have casino.
Actually, Carrie, that's really interesting that you mentioned that, because Irene's been working with a foundation back in Alaska that is a sort of a model for a way to do healthcare.
South Central Foundation and the Alaska Native Medical Center up in the state of Alaska actually have had our legislators come through, Secretary Sebelius, Obama, and Obama's people up through
Muslim.
No.
As a model for how healthcare can exist and should and does exist.
There's actually a tribal medicine right wing. That was the first place that Irene took me when I was actually up in Alaska. We were working on another project together, the Winter Bear. And seeing that sign above my head, tribal medicine, and speaking to some of the women who work there, it was pretty overwhelming. It was really inspiring, actually, to know that, oh, well, this is, in existence here. It would be great to bring some of that down to the lower 48, as they call it.
But even just the way, because Irene and I were talking about it more extensively, but it was like this, the model of the way the treatment is conducted, administered. It's
the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being of the entire human being. Just looking at a person.
Well, let's do this. Let's talk off air, and Mel, in the next couple of days, and Irene and Janice. This is not in any way snipping you out, not even for a second. But I don't believe you're probably more like me, maybe from the European tone. But let's see what we could do to get a little upper edge with the big corporations, because speaking of Dick Cheney, we know that one of the biggest moves he did was they went to an Inuit, I believe, in Alaska, and had Halliburton give the Inuit 10 grand to be able to use his name to be able to build a series of hotel chains as an Inuit. So Halliburton is an Inuit, and they were able to bypass all kinds of laws and taxes. So I think maybe we get to help people by helping people. And I say we help people in the special way that will really upset the people who are not being helped by us helping ourselves.
Let's help people.
By helping
yes!
people. People who need people are the luckiest people. Okay, I'm sorry. It was the gay gene. Sorry.
Yes, it was. And Streisand may be watching. Expect a lawyer's call in a minute. All right, you guys. I want to thank you so much. We'll be in touch the next couple of days, Mel, and we'll cook up a really hellacious plan. We also have a great bullhorn to publicize the shit out of this. And there are going to be lots of thousands of people who really need medical care. And maybe we'll be able to, with your help in the Native American world, help me.
Okay. Whoa, shit. Oh, wow. Now we got somebody on.
And she froze.
Yes, she did. My very first place in Los Angeles was a little place that Marilyn Monroe lived in when she was still Norma Jean. Just what I would say.
Really? When she lived here, she would walk down the sidewalk, and I'm not going to say exactly where we are, but she would walk down the sidewalk to the Lee Strasberg Theater and do her acting lessons, and then come back with the notorious Mrs. Strasberg and rub their naughty bits or whatever they did for a couple of years. And then Marilyn would also trundle up the sidewalk. There's a big ancient building, 1920s era, up on the corner where JFK kept an apartment. And he would come driving in his black limo, and it would park underground. Nobody would see him. She would skitter up the sidewalk and then come back the next morning crawling with torn fabric and bruised genitalia. And this was her life. And now I live here.
That's wonderful.
Yay!
Well, but now, Carrie, when I think of bruised genitalia, I'll think of you.
Most people do. All right. Thank you guys so much. We will be in touch. This was such a treat. Really, normally we have people on for like 10 minutes, but I think we're an hour and 10. So, as they used to say at the phone company, please make a note of it. Hi, Billy.
Thank you, Carrie.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
Billy.
Thank you.
Thank Billy.
Thank you,
Billy is
Billy.